Good afternoon. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. My name is Greg Hudson. I'm President and CEO of the Dallas Zoo. It's been an unbelievable 3 weeks for all of us here at the zoo, and it's unprecedented what's happened here, and we're truly thankful to a lot of folks that have helped us and assisted us in getting the tamarins back in our possession, and helping us deal with these crimes that were committed against the Dallas Zoo. First off, we're unbelievably grateful to the Dallas Police Department, their assistance and support that they've given us, and what they've done on this case has been unbelievable. We'll let them talk about that in just a second. But I'd also like to acknowledge and say thanks to the Dallas Zoo staff. They provided some important key information that helped support this investigation from on grounds. And also we can share that some of the new cameras and the systems that we put in place helped on this as well. And we're able to share all that information with the Dallas Police Department. We'd also like to thank the Dallas World Aquarium and other members of the community who reached out and recognized the photo that was sent out. Those tips and those things that were sent in were extremely helpful, and we want to say thank you to the Dallas World Aquarium and to the other members of the community who gave us information. Thank you. So talk a little bit more about the specifics. I've got Kristen Lohman here from the Dallas PD. Have her come up and talk about the case.
On Thursday night, Dallas police arrested Davion Irving, 24, in connection with the Emperor Tamarin monkey case that was here at the Dallas Zoo. Preliminary investigation and help from the public identified him as the man that we were looking to speak to regarding this case. On Thursday, we received a tip that Irvin was seen at the Dallas World Aquarium near some animal exhibits. When officers responded, they saw Irvin get onto a DART rail train. We later spotted him in the 1400 block of Pacific and took him into Jack Evans headquarters for questioning. He's been charged with 6 counts of animal cruelty, non-livestock, in connection to the Tamarin monkey case. In addition, there have been 2 charges of burglary into a building. Those have been filed. Those are in connection with the clouded leopard and the Langer monkey case. The investigation into the death of the vulture, it's still ongoing. He has not been linked to that case at this time. And of course, all 4 of those incidents are still under investigation. There are further charges possible, and he is still in the Dallas County Jail. I'm going to turn it back over to Greg because he has a little bit more, but we'll take more questions at the end.
Thanks, Kristen. And obviously, Dallas Police Department is handling all the parts of the investigation. For our institution's point of view, and what we need to do is we're working on putting in the controls and upping the security to make sure that things do not happen like this again. We've talked about this before, but we've added more cameras throughout the facility. We've added more patrols. We're evaluating all of our internal policies on security and bringing in outside experts to help us because of the heightened kind of intensity of this kind of crime that was kind of unprecedented for us to ever have to go through. It's important for us, and it's critical for us to not do everything we can to do everything that we can to not have this happen again, but also to share this with others in the zoo community as well. We all learn from that. This institution has gone through many things that we've shared with other institutions that have been helpful in raising the standards for zoos and aquariums across the country. So we're going to continue to do that, and our job is not finished. We are focused on preventing this from ever happening again. I'm going to have Harrison come up here and talk a little bit about the staff and some of the animals in particular. Harrison.
Our staff remains on high alert and continue to grieve for the loss of Pin, our lappet-faced vulture. And we're working hard to make sure that Nova, the clouded leopard, as well as the Emperor tamarins settle back into their routines here at Dallas Zoo. In addition to these incidents, the weather this week has created additional demands, So it feels like an understatement, but the last month has been an emotional roller coaster for the team here at Dallas Zoo. I can share a little bit about animal welfare updates for the animals that were affected. Nova was reintroduced to her sister Luna the night after her adventure. The two of them have settled back into a routine and are on habitat again for guests to visit with on Primate Place in Zoo North. Our langurs are doing fine and spry despite old age. They're all between 20 and 30 years of age and were impacted by the stress originally but have settled back into a routine now. And the emperor tamarins continue to gain the weight that they lost while they were away from the zoo. We have them in a quarantine setup at the hospital right now because they were away from the zoo and potentially in contact with people and other animals. We're treating their return to the zoo as if they were coming from an unknown source. So they're in a medical quarantine right now to make sure that they settle back in, that they regain some weight, and that the stress of their theft and removal from known habitat doesn't have longer lasting effects on them. So we continue to care for them in a protected setup that way. I think we're all available for a few moments to answer some questions for you.
Yeah, before you do it, two other thank yous. Want to thank the City of Dallas itself. The Park Department has been great. I'd like to thank Mayor Pro Tem Arnold, who's here. She's been a great asset for us and great communicator in helping us get some of the resources together to help us combat this over the last 3 weeks. So thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Arnold. Yes, so now we are open for some questions. Yes.
Is there any knowledge as to what Urban's motive was to take these animals, what he planned on doing? Perhaps that's a question for Dallas.
That's all part of the ongoing investigation. Detectives obviously have been building the case, talking with witnesses. They have spoken with him, but all of that is part of the ongoing investigation.
Great question, sir. You mentioned this is unprecedented, certainly for our Dallas Zoo.
Yeah.
In the zoo community. Anything like this in times past?
You know, there have been some isolated, I think, incidences like this of individual animals maybe that were taken from a zoo, but not a repeated incident like this. This is really, truly unprecedented.
Will the family and Lancaster get that reward money?
Until it's finished with the case, we won't know yet. So.
Greg, you mentioned that some of the additional security measures that y'all have added were helpful in this case. Were those cameras that were added since the first incident that you're talking about that ended up?
Yeah, so we've continued to add cameras throughout. We're still continuing to do that, and they were helpful in some of the pictures that were released that you saw a few days ago.
I understand clearly that you now believe that this suspect is responsible for the leopard also, but you aren't certain about the rest of it. Could you summarize what you understand?
Yes. So the 6 charges that are related to the animal cruelty, those are related to the tamarin monkey case. There are 2 additional charges, the burglary to a building. Those charges are directly related to the langur monkeys and the clouded leopard case.
So this time there are several occasions that you can't prove that actually took animals on the occasion where the monkey.
Our investigation has determined that he is tied to those other cases. The vulture case is still under investigation. There's still more possible charges.
Mr. Hudson, can you talk to how you feel about protection of the animals now? I mean, you said this was unprecedented. You didn't expect, someone to come and try to steal animals like this. But how do you feel about the changes that you made since the clouded leopard incident to where we are now, in terms of your confidence that animals are safe here?
The best way to describe it is determined. We're determined to make sure that we do everything we can to not let this happen again. And the security that we had before that had worked for a long time. It had been upgraded continually over the last 12 years as we took over the private management of the zoo from the City of Dallas. But obviously, this is an unprecedented level of things that we're going to have to do. But we're up to the challenge of that, and we're determined to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
And you'll be in discussions with the city to even do more?
Well, with the city and outside experts, we're bringing in the best in the field that we can to help us think through not only the operational parts of it, but to technology and all the things that could help us manage this type of situation.
Was this individual on the zoo's radar before January? I know there was thefts reported early January, but was this someone known to zoo staff, or had been coming around frequently prior to that?
I don't have any knowledge of that.
Is there any audit of employees here at the Dallas Zoo as well on the back end of this in relation to any of this at all? I mean, this guy had a lot of knowledge about the area, that sort of thing. Anybody else being looked at?
So as far as the investigation goes,
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Any other employees here being audited or being looked at?
Our detectives interviewed staff. They interviewed people from around the neighborhood. They obviously interviewed citizens in Lancaster and in Dallas as well. And this is the investigation led us to this individual, and that's where the charges are against him.
All I'm trying to say is that this guy had a pretty good knowledge about how to get these animals out of here undetected. I mean, is there anything that you guys are looking at in relation to that?
so the thing that I can say to that is every employee that works here has gone through a criminal background check of some sort. Whether they're working in the parking lots or whether they're working in the animal staff, we have other degrees of things that we look at, but all of them have gone through criminal background check.
Do you know how we got the monkeys out of the zoo? Do you know how we got them out of here?
We do know how to get him out. That's part of the ongoing investigation. That's part of our evidence. But yes, we are aware of how he got the monkeys out of the zoo.
You're not sharing.
That's correct.
Did he have any connection to the zoo, this individual, other than just visiting?
Not that we know of.
And does it kind of amaze you that he was able to walk around in here on numerous occasions with maybe things repeatedly, and then go down to the aquarium and consider something like
Yeah, again, he had access in as a regular guest. Beyond that, is part of the investigation.
Kristen, may I ask, do you all suspect that he was casing the World Aquarium to perhaps either do some damage there or try to take more animals?
I think what's important to realize with the zoo and also with the tips that came from the community, we say to people all the time that one bit of information that you have could help us to make a break in a case. The tip that came in for the home in Lancaster that led us to the missing monkeys. The tip that came in that he was around the Dallas World Aquarium, that allowed us to go and find this individual. That's why we always say we want you to call us and make that tip. In terms of what the investigation has determined, we talking with tipsters. Obviously, the detectives have been talking to staff as well. We do believe that he was looking to commit another crime. That's why it was very important that we took him into custody, and he is in custody at this time.
Did DPD talk about just what would the nature of the thefts? I mean, would this guy like hang out in a bathroom until the zoo closed and then go into that, or would you guys shoot?
We're not going to get into the details. What I can say is that detectives worked a solid case. They worked day in and day out to find there's 4 different incidents, 4 separate incidents in the zoo that they worked. They've tied 3 of those cases together at this time. The 4th one is still under investigation. I think that what's important to realize is that the monkeys are back. We're looking into the case with the vulture now, and we have charges filed in 3 out of the 4 cases.
Now, from the most avid visitor, the most frequent customer, the person who comes once a year to the staff, do you have a relationship with these animals? Are they just assets for people to look at? Is there?
I'll let you talk.
Our zoologists spend day in and day out with these animals, and there are almost 2,000 animals that call Dallas Zoo home. So the relationships that our team build with those animals are profound. The relationships that our guests build with those animals are profound. So when we announced the loss of a couple of these animals, I've had neighbors and friends here in Oak Cliff who've reached out to say, I can't believe that individual animal was affected, because guests at the zoo know these animals individually. They might not work with them the same way that the zoologists do from the back of the habitat, but these aren't just miscellaneous anonymous animals. These are animals that we have relationships with. They're as much a part of Dallas Zoo family as any of the staff are.
Do you know why he might have crowded these animals?
Let me just clarify one thing, too. The suspect is not and has not ever been an employee of the Dallas Zoo, and is not a volunteer of the zoo. So the only access that, as far as we know, he had was as a visitor. We do have Carolyn Mayor Pro Tem Arnold to come up and maybe say a couple things here real quick.
Thank you. I think the main reason for us being here today, along with you finding out, the details on the arrest, is that we must reassure the citizens, especially those residents who are in this immediate area, that the city of Dallas is taking every step and precaution and efforts to reach out and work with the zoo. Let there be no doubt about that. So whatever it is, whatever it takes, we're committed to that. Very few people realize just how close these neighbors are to this particular facility. So I want to reaffirm and reassure that we are here to support the zoo any way that we can, but understanding this is almost like a tale of two cities between Dallas and Lancaster. And thank goodness that we were able to get information from those individuals in Lancaster. And so I think we're going to continue to just underscore the need. If you see something, say something, continue to keep an eye. And as I say here in the city of Dallas, we must stay woke. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Arnold. And that's going to conclude our conference for today, so thank you very much.